What people want to see is they want to see that you can execute. That's what people want to see. All these people come in and say, hey, I had to do $1 million, $2, $3, $5 million in raise, and then you don't hit it. What happened? Right? You lose credibility. If you're going to go deal source, set proper expectations, right? AM Multifamily they set proper expectations, brought a deal. Here's where it's at. Laid it right in the lap. I had a great executive summary. This is what we need from you guys. Done. Right? They made our life simple and hopefully feelings mutual. Right? And so when you make it easy for your sponsors, it makes it easy for them to want to work for you as well. But the quickest way, man, raise 3, 4, 500, put it into a deal, get in, look and see how they're asset managing, look and see how they're operating, ask how you can help out, get involved without expectation.
Welcome to the Lion's Den, the real estate podcast for perspicacious investors who know they have the strength to succeed in the lucrative commercial multifamily industry. Gain expert advice on your way to becoming a top performer. I'm your host, Adam Parrish. I have my 3 co-hosts, Donald Callahan, Bia Mosley, and Lisa Parrish. How are you 3 doing?
Great.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have our guest today.
The conundrum of today's episode: how do I set proper expectations and get into deals faster? Our special guest today has over 20 years of experience in the multifamily space. Beginning with a focus on single-family flips, he has now evolved into a portfolio of multifamily assets worth over $385 million, consisting of over 3,500 units spanning over 5 different states. He is a proficient underwriter, which has been critical in mitigating risks, identifying opportunities, developing strategic operating plans, and optimizing overall investor returns. We are delighted to have the phenomenal managing partner of MF Capital Partners, Ryan Woolley.
Oh, thank you.
We need one of those cheer things that goes off in the background. Wait, you didn't say the Ryan Woolley.
Oh, the Ryan Woolley.
Love it. You're going to go proper titles here.
I'll edit in the Ryan, what is the word of the day?
Integrity.
Good one.
You have a definition? Some people don't know what that means.
Well, yeah.
Donato is a walking dictionary. What's the definition?
Yeah. What is the definition?
I'd say the practice of speaking truthfully without reservation or malice in your mind, heart, or soul.
You just look that up.
He looks
that up.
Beautiful.
I just,
There's nothing on my screen. It's a Zoom screen. I got nothing else sitting here. That's just from my head.
Really?
yes.
Ryan, some new syndicators may have team goals of buying and holding 100 units and then retiring. Some dare to shoot for the stars and aspire to 1,000 units in their first year. From your experience, how do you set proper expectations in multifamily?
Oh boy, that's a good one. So, okay, I want to make sure I understand the question. 100 units, right? Some want to get 100 units, and then some set goals of 1,000 units, I think, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, in their first year.
Man, pack a lot, right? Pack a lot. So it's right?
That's a lot for us.
Ranges.
A lot for us, man, in a year. It is. I mean, we've done that a couple years. I mean, 2 years in a row or something. It's a lot of work, even for an experienced team. I would say, listen, what are you trying to accomplish, right? Quality of life, or you want to balance? Most people don't want 1,000 units. What they're looking at is they're looking at the money. Really, is the money comes first. They're not looking at being structurally sound. I'll tell you this, some of the best things that Lisa and our team did, right, with GLP and MFCP. I was Lisa, right? With GLP. I had Adam's voice, GLP. Right? So, but we define roles, right? Like, what are the roles? Who does what, right? And it's just seamless. It was seamless. But, so we had structure there. I think a lot of people that do the 1,000 look at acquisition fees. They look at the money. What can the money do for them? Where this is a long-term game, man. I always look at this. One of our best deals that we ever did was with Cedars. So Cedars was 128% for some, depending on when they got in, 135% returns to other in just a 2-year period. That was a 40-unit deal. So I think that set proper expectations is this. So many people, they think I want bigger deals, but when in reality, what do their investors want? Their investors want good returns. That 40 unit turned into 415 unit, turned into some other ones. That's Quail Ridge now, right? There's a lot of deals that turned into in the Carolinas with the old man there. And so what that did though is it creates confidence for people. So many people try to go get 100 units or 1,000 units, whereas if they just close on a 40, 50 unit deal, they get confidence. Brokers have confidence in them. Investors have confidence in them. And so just setting proper expectations and getting that first deal done. Sure, man, 1,000 units is awesome, right? 10,000 units would be great too. I just saw one of our competitors has 6,700 units. And it's like, man, it's just a different level, right? It's just more and more as you grow. And yeah, I mean, I just say get your foundation done first. Get your first deal done first before you think about 1,000.
I agree with you. And quality of life is huge because there was some times where I look back and I was every vacation we went on, I was working. And I know that you've dealt with that too, always working on vacation and you can't really relax and enjoy your life. So if your goal is financial freedom, and all of us, our eventual goal is financial freedom, but sacrificing your health and sacrificing your relationships is not worth it because you end up with a bunch of money with bad relationships or bad health. Now, I messed up my health. I don't know if that was the cause of my health problems, but it definitely made things worse. And now I'd give up all my money to have my health back. So balance is really important. You can make a lot of money in this business and have the partners and get the structure together, but shooting for the stars. I mean, we all want to shoot for the stars, but you have to have that balance. You have to have it all.
Yeah.
And how many people are involved also? If you've only got a couple people, that's one thing. I would imagine like with you were mentioning you have done 1,000 a few years in a row, but you have a whole company now with employees and everything. That's a lot different than just having like 3 people or 4 people.
Very different, but there was only 4 of us at the beginning, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it was,
literally. We had nobody working for us.
no, it was originally we started, believe it or not, so many people get caught up in 2 and 3 deals and 4 or whatever. We did 1 deal at a time. There's this 1 deal, got it done. Focus on the next deal, got it done. In fact, there were several times we were like, hey, we're taking a break. And then another deal fall in our lap and be like, hey, we're going to do it. But it's funny when you said it, Lisa, you go, man, we're on vacation on the phone nonstop. But I do remember when we were in Maui together and we were at that place getting calamari, a few drinks, right?
Yes,
Funnest time ever, man. We
that
didn't
was so fun.
even look at our phones. Or we were just sitting there chatting and laughing. And
That was a lot of fun. But I think it was because we were with our partners. So
Yeah.
we all kind of let go a little bit. But usually I never wanted to let my partners down. So nobody even knew I was on vacation.
yeah,
I'm getting better at that. And that takes practice. And then the thing is like where you guys are now, where you're still growing, you have a lot of employees. But as we've talked about, having more employees, for some people that sounds like, oh, that's amazing. We have people to do everything for us. But that's its own set of headache. So, it adds new headaches because now you're babysitting employees and you guys have some amazing employees, but still it's a lot. The more that you've got going on, more people that are involved, the more partners that are involved, the more complications that can happen. So I hate to see students when they are like, I'll talk to a student who they're looking at their first deal and it's 250 units. And I'm thinking, well, I'll tell them why are you shooting for so big? And they'll say, well, because Tyler told us, go big or go home, think bigger. And I get that, but we started with 23 and then we worked our way up. I think you got to have some kind of a foundation. If you partner with a sponsor that is a mentor that's walking you through it, that's different. So if you're, like with you guys, your first deal was 172 units with AM Multifamily, but you were working with GLP and MFCP. That's totally different. You can do that because you had experts. If you have an expert that's walking you through, that's different. But I see some of these students, they don't have that expert and they're trying to figure it all out on their own. It'll set you way back, or it could.
Yeah,
But
that's scary.
anytime we got into a deal, we had strategies, right? Anytime it was 40 unit, 122 unit. I'll tell you this, you take quality of life. I remember the 122 and 415 that we did together at the same time.
Mhm.
And that about killed us, right? I mean, I remember I probably cried a few nights. It was, and then it was stressful, man. And we did it. We made it work, right? Now, if we could go back and do it differently, would I do differently? Sure. I mean, we learned a lot from it. We literally learned a lot from. In fact, I think it was chapter 13 in the book, or was going to be chapter 13 in the book. Yeah, it was always
Still working on it. Still working on that book.
still working on the book.
Yeah.
But
I have to retire first.
to retire. Let's retire. Yeah. It is the biggest mistake I think students make is they come out of the gates. You said it perfectly there, right? Is when you have two solid sponsors on a deal. I think it's Shark Tank, right? When two shark sponsor out together, they get together and they take down one, man, how lucky could they be? But I look at other people. I just had this conversation with a student the other day and I asked, what type of deals they're looking at. And it was like $30, $40 million deals. Awesome.
Wow.
So let's look at how much
It's a
money.
huge raise.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm like 21 million. So I said, okay, how much can you guys raise? And they went in and they came back to the next week and they told me what they could raise. Well, when it comes back down to it, I think the most that they could do is like $8 million. Okay. So when you think about $8 million, I mean, Lisa, you've been doing this a long time. Most people that get into deals, we all have good intentions on our first deal of like, great,
Yeah.
got this relationship. I've got this. I've got that. Well, the reality is it's your first deal. Investors, they want to know that you've had experience as well, right? You've got to utilize your sponsors and let your sponsors raise for you. Because the reality is, I would think, Lisa, you correct me if I'm wrong. I think that probably it's about 10% of what they say they can raise is about what they'll do. Maybe 20.
Sometimes less.
Sometimes less. Right?
Sometimes they
Very
can't. Sometimes
true.
they think they can raise a bunch and they really aren't able to raise
10%,
any
like-
of it.
Right.
Well,
Like
another-
100,000 out of $1 million or something. Pretty
For sure.
typical.
So it doesn't, it's crazy to me is like, I sit there and think, man, if you could close on a 40, 50 unit deal, I would say that every single time. Close on a 30, 40, 50 unit deal, get it done. Sure, you're not going to make a whole lot of money. What do we make on Cedars? Like 40 grand or something like that, 50 grand. I think it wasn't a whole lot, right? But man, it jumped us into more deals. You guys had already had Colonial, so you already had a big deal under your belt. But man, that just catapulted into where we're at today. I mean, really over almost 400 million in assets. So take down a small deal first. That's a big thing, Adam, I could say is take down a small.
I mean, the small deals also, and I've told a lot of students this, that especially in this type of market, that's where you can actually get some creative financing. There's a lot of smaller deals, mom and pop owners that are overwhelmed and don't know what they're doing, and they would work with you because there's a lot less competition in that bracket. So you're not going to have the big investors.
Yeah. So I want to ask a follow-up question to Ryan. When setting goals, how important do you think it is to take into consideration market cycles and competition?
Boy, man, if you asked me a few years ago, it'd be a different question.
Right.
Is this an evergreen? Is this an evergreen podcast, or is it like just say how it is today?
Just say how it is.
Man, here's the thing. Some of you guys are young, right? Adam and Donata. Fia, you're still young, right? Lisa and I. I'm old. I'm old too, man. I'm old.
I'm older than all of you.
Come on, not by much. Not by much. So 2008, right? I mean, we were around in 2008, so we saw what happened, right? I mean, it'll be a brief moment, it'll pass. But market cycles, how important is it to choose market cycles and competition? Lisa's been doing a lot of time, but we were in the same network together. And really, in today's market, man, you'd be crazy not to go to just stay in tertiary markets, right? I mean, tertiary markets are going to be your best markets right now. But listen, primary markets will bounce back. They'll bounce back as rates go back down. But who knows? I mean, you're looking at another 12 to 14 months, maybe 12 to 18 months before you see rates really change. When rates change, then you can start getting back in the primary market. But right now, you'd be crazy not to go into tertiary markets. It's more competitive. Like what Lisa said, you're going to get into more mom and pop places and you'll be able to take those down. So for example, we're looking at this outside of Atlanta. We're getting ready to close next month on a deal. And Atlanta, it's about an hour outside of Atlanta, and they reassess taxes every 3 years. A student brought it to us. It's like one of them is a 30 unit deal, so we're taking out two. One's a 30 unit deal, and the other one's like it's 114 units. But this 114, right? There's still opportunity out there. So the competitiveness or picking market, it's really identifying what the weakness in that market is, or like what's going on with investors. For example, if someone came to us and said, hey, would you get into the Houston market right now? I'd stay the hell away from Houston, 100%. Houston it's dog shit, right? And I can say dog shit, right? We can do cigars.
Yeah,
Sure. Say whatever you want.
absolutely.
My wife just said I can't say the F word. That's it, right? So you get married.
Okay.
We'll
Anyway,
have Tyler on
sorry.
for that one.
But here's the thing. The reality is like Houston, for example, you've got to look at environmental factors, other things that are going on in that market. You've got market rent. Houston's always been one of the lowest in market rent. So as rates are going up, it's going to affect your rent growth. I think Houston's about 5% in market rent growth. You saw a lot of these new students that went in before when it was 10.5, 11% in market rent growth, and they were doing their underwriting at like 8, 9, 10%. So they were capped out. So what happens now? They can't achieve their business plan because they were aggressive, right? And they wanted to make the numbers work. That's really what it is. They wanted to make the numbers work. Lisa and I, man, every time we did underwriting, we'd go in, I'd do it. I'd send over. She'd say, hey, go fix this. I'd go in and fix it. And so we were always looking at the market of if we could achieve it. Is it realistically, could we achieve it? And that's where she comes in as not, right? Is knowing, can I hit these numbers and can I not? She has the great relationships with property management. And so she goes, hey, can you guys hit it? Can we hit it? No, Ryan, go change it. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't work, we get out of it. So Houston's awful, but just outside of Georgia or outside of Atlanta, this deal, they reassess taxes every 3 years. We're picking up a deal right now. It's 30,000 a unit under market, but it's deed in foreclosure. They're losing the deal.
Nice.
So you're going to see that a lot. A lot of people are going to start.
Yeah. Yes, and you've got to look a little bit harder. You've got to work a little harder to find the deals. But I think that when you find the deals, and especially if you can shake it loose through an actual seller, work directly with seller, and not really have a broker in between, or that's just one option. But that could give you. There's more money involved. You can save money because you don't have the broker commission.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I like what you said earlier, though, about you guys doing one deal at a time, because I think when people come into a business and there's a bunch of networks and then there's all this social media. And so it's like, oh, you feel like you have to keep, some people don't know this term, but keeping up with the Jones, you feel like, well, everybody, is going to do 100 plus on their first deal, or you should be doing multiple deals at once, or whatever it might be. And it really, everybody's different. So it's not like really, you don't even know where someone's at to be comparing yourself to them. Like maybe they're selling 100 single family houses or something. I mean, you just don't know. Everybody comes in a different spot. So it's good not to compare what you're doing. You got to do what's right for you and your team and your people.
I agree. I'll say this with the market competition, though, right? Is identifying what your investors want. What do investors want, and what are their objections? What are they scared of? If you know those answers, right, then we know where we can pivot. For example, most of them want cash flow. They want security in their investment. Going to the Midwest where, rent growth is consistent. It's more of a cash flow market rather than equity market. So we've been in the Carolinas, we've been in Texas, Florida. Those are more equity markets. They're going to grow a lot faster. A lot of those markets too, like in the Carolinas, you can control your expenses. So they reassess every 4 to 8 years in those markets. That's controllable. In Georgia, it's controllable. So if you can control your expenses, you can control your cash flow, right? And so right now we're focusing more on like the Midwest because that's what investors want. They want more cash flow and security in that cash flow than they are concerned with equity. A lot of them are calling bullshit on equity growth right now. You see some operators put out, I saw the other day, someone had like 26.7%, and they asked me to invest in it. I'm like, shit, you're never seeing that. So, but then you see Brandon Turner, who's out there. You have to know who Brandon Turner is, right? Open Door Capital. He has the big beard, right? Yeah. The deal right now is like 14 to 16% annual rate of return, right? So that's the expectation. So if you get past that, awesome, right? But a Midwest market would do that for you.
Yeah. And right now, people who have money, at least like I know that we're like this. We don't want to put our money in the bank because I don't even trust the banks right now. So we're just looking for a place to put our money and not lose it. If we can make some money on it, great. We wanted to just have a good, so we're buying land and different things just to basically as a savings account that we know can't be taken from us. So definitely if you show investors that you're being more conservative and that you are not going to lose their money, I think that's can go a long way.
A long way.
Hi, Ryan. Next.
Sonato, any comment? Any final thoughts?
I agree. There's a variety of investment vehicles, each with their own benefits and their own drawbacks, whether they are rapidly appreciating in value versus more stable with consistent cash flow, whether that's land or something that other end of the spectrum like cryptocurrency, which is all speculation, all growth. Heard it here first, folks.
Oh, don't bring up crypto.
Yeah, there's
the source of
the sanctity and maintenance of wealth has always been one of the biggest questions and hurdles that people have had to overcome for hundreds of years, trying to understand how can I make money and how can I keep it? With the market we're in right now, being able to answer those questions as a reflection of what's actually going on builds trust with investors. And anyone that can do that successfully is going to be able to have a business that can succeed in multiple market cycles.
I have absolutely no patience and I want that fat, juicy acquisition fee right now. What are some ways you can get into a deal faster?
Man, faster. The fastest way you can do it is with us. So like we just raise money and we put it into a deal. We raise money from a couple other investors. A lot of people think they've got to raise $1 million. I think we raised 500 grand. What people want to see is they want to see that you can execute. That's what people want to see. All these people come in and say, hey, I had to do $1 million, $2, $3, $5 million in raise, and then you don't hit it. What happened? Right? You lose credibility. I think one of the biggest things, and Lisa, you correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of in the network that we're in, people do the Thailand close, right? And so we never went above what we couldn't do. And even to this day, I will never go, even to student, I'll never say, oh, a lot of people look at Tyler and Ryan, oh, you guys can raise so much money. We're just like everyone else, but we're just realistic with our expectation. Sure.
Well, you came up incrementally, and I've told this to people. They don't believe that it wasn't always easy for you to raise money, but you were just like, not just like everyone else, but it was hard for you. Our first couple deals, it was hard. It was a lot of work, but you incrementally moved, it was a couple million, 3 million. I remember your first $8 million raise, and you thought that was going to be really challenging, and you did it. And then we got to 12, and now you're
Wow, that's awesome.
Well, it's just like, a lot of it is that we had a lot of grind between us, right? Like failing was not an option, right? And we always knew that there was a solution, and we never lost our composure ever. And it was just like, all right, what do we need to do? And so we used to send these text messages out to black hole. Literally, we'd send black holes out.
Yes.
And that was like, hey, hop on calls. And we just communicated a lot back then, Matt, a lot. And so
it was amazing. We actually got to talk to Tyler like 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Now it's like, you're like, if you talk to him once a year, but 5 times a day, it was crazy.
it was crazy, right? Back then. Yeah. And it's like maybe 5 times a year now, right? So it is the quickest way to get into a deal is really to raise, right? If you're going to go deal source, set proper expectations, right? Multifamily they set proper expectations, brought a deal. Here's where it at, laid it right in the lap. I had a great executive summary. This is what we need from you guys. Done, right? They made our life simple and hopefully feelings mutual, right? And so when you make it easy for your sponsors, it makes it easy for them to want to work for you as well. But the quickest way, man, raise 3, 4, 500, put it into a deal, get in, look and see how they're asset managing, look and see how they're operating, ask how you can help out. Get involved without expectation, all right, or receiving anything back. That's the best thing, the quickest way to do it. Once again, if you could get 300 grand into a deal, get some GP, help out, it would mean more to a broker being able to say, hey, listen, I did close the deal, right? Never once, I was on a broker call with a student once to get it. Never once did I say, oh, they said, hey, have you closed the deal? Answer was, yes, it's in this city. This is where we closed it. Never once did he say, oh, tell me about the deal. How many units was it? What's the purchase price? All he wanted to know, did you close on had to close on a deal yet? And they're like, yep, boom, next question, gone, right? So if you can put 3, 4, 500 grand into a deal, right? And great, we're not capital raisers, right? Right, no SEC attorneys on here, right? We're not capital raisers,
Bethany gave up on that.
Gave up on that, right?
Yeah.
But really the thing is if you get involved into the operations of it, right? I always laugh at that capital raising thing though. It's just getting money and have the people disappear. You're crazy if you get money and disappear. You want to learn the business, understand the business, get on coaching calls, right? Ask your sponsor question. Don't be a pain in the ass on the Dave Lindahl used to always say, just don't be a pain in the ass.
Yes.
That's what I'd say, Adam, right? Is the quickest way is to find a sponsor, ask how you can help them, let them know that you have 400 or 500 grand, or just really, I tell students all the time, tell me how much you can raise. Awesome. Come back to me in a week or 2 weeks. Tell me what you came up with. Just don't throw random numbers. It's funny, Lisa, I know you experienced this. How much can you raise? And they'll tell you immediately what they can raise.
Uh-huh.
And instantly, I don't know if you're the same way, but I'm like, bullshit. Right?
Uh-huh.
Bullshit.
I always think bullshit. Doesn't matter what they say. So,
Yeah. Well, it's like, okay, go put some thought into it. Tell me where you went to, where that source is. Did they say yes? What's the likelihood of them putting it in? Could you get it in 30 to 60 days? right? Answer those questions, come back. And guess what? The number they say is always 20, 30% of what they say originally, right? And I always say this, always say a lesser number. If you know you can do a million, say I can do 3, 4, 500 grand, right? So that you
Years.
hit that
Good
number.
numbers.
And the next time, guess who the first person they're going to call is? They're going to call you because you executed. It doesn't matter if it's a million or 300,000. You follow through with what you said you were going to do.
I 100% agree with everything you just said, but let's say the student is not into money raising. Maybe that's not their niche, or that's not something that they want to do. The other fastest way would be finding the deal.
Yep.
And that's what we did. And if you find a deal that works, you're going to have to make sure you have a good underwriter that underwrites a lot of deals, because it takes a lot to find the right deal.
And
To
that would
find a
most
deal,
likely
you
take,
underwrite it.
and that would also most likely take a lot of time building relationships with the brokers that will bring you those lucrative deals.
It does.
So you've got to build relationships with people that you're raising money from as well.
Yeah.
So it
that's
kind of
true.
depends on where you are, what you were thinking that you were going to be doing. But and if you could do creative financing, if you've got some experience with that, but that's the other way to do it. I always say that the ways to get into it, become a GP on a deal, is find the deal or find the money. If you could do both, that's great. That's even better. But
What's funny is I'm going to get shot in the foot here, right? I'm going to shoot myself in the foot, right? Because we talk about sponsors all the time, right? And granted, you need sponsors when you're getting the bigger deals. But I'm going to contradict ourselves for a little bit. Lisa will laugh at this one, right? The reality is people go, oh, I can't find a sponsor, right? You can find deals, but I can't find a sponsor. So go get a 20, 30 unit deal and do some creative financing.
so we did,
You don't need a sponsor at that point,
right?
right? It is, Inky Johnson, what did he say at this last one here? It's on my phone. He said, is the drive, man, what did he say, Pete? You guys remember more than me.
I know what you're
know.
saying, but I don't know how to say it. But
I don't remember.
that's what Quattro did too. They didn't go get other sponsors. They pulled together and were able to qualify for small deals by themselves.
He said, let it take let it take your life before you drive, right? So if it's important enough to get into a deal and you can't find something, great, find another alternative. Go get that 20, 30 unit deal, get seller financing. There's a lot of old people out there, man. They don't necessarily want to sell it because their kids don't want to take the property over. So maybe they'll do that, or they don't want to pay taxes. There's a lot of reasons why someone would do seller financing.
That's exactly right. Especially in this kind of a market.
Oh man, think about it. If you sell it, now you got to pay taxes on it. If you could go in and what are interest rates at right now? Anywhere between 5.5% and 9%, depending if you're getting a bridge debt. Think about that, man. You could go out and if you sold your property, these sellers could charge 7, 8%. That's damn good money, man. You go to Chase, or you go to a bank right now, and any kind of mutual player, there's about 10%, right? I mean, the market's at about 10%. That's kind of about aggressive. It's like 10.3% is what they offered me the other day. That's the 10-year, right? I mean, you go to a seller,
Crazy.
you don't have to pay taxes, and you get 8%. Oh, sign me up.
Whereas that's the thing, is a lot of sellers that they're sitting on all this money, they don't realize it. They see the problem and they try to figure out what to do. And if you can come in with a solution and actually tell them that they can make money without having to do anything, you could definitely create a win-win scenario. You just have to look for it.
Oh, yes. But the thing is can you go find deals like the old man? I mean, these people that own these deals forever, right? They own it forever and they just want to get rid of it. A lot of them own it free and clear, so it just makes sense to them. I mean, you own it free and clear, you own it for 20, 30 years, you're going to get hit heavy with capital gains, right? They don't want to do that. That's one thing I did learn from Lisa, right? Is like, there's a solution to everything, right? There's a solution to everything that you have. It's just taking a step back, not letting your emotions get in the way and going, all right, how bad do I want it? If I want it bad enough, I'll find that solution.
Yeah, and having good partners also that can kind of come together and figure out, here's what our problems are, and coming up with ideas. That's helpful too.
How often should you be submitting offers?
Oh man, this is a tricky one, right? This is a tricky one. I was just having this conversation the other day with someone. So we would tell you in our network, right? We'd say submit 2 offers a week, I think is what we say, right? But there's strategy behind it. Okay. Now, if you're going to submit offers and you don't have any intent closing, or you don't have a game plan to close, what does that do for your brand? What does that do for your name? Right? Let's say all of a sudden they say, sweet, you have a deal, the deal works, but you haven't done your back end stuff, right? You haven't gone and found a sponsor. You haven't found capital raisers. Lisa, how quick do they move on if you don't give them an answer? 2, 3 days? They're
Yeah.
becoming the next person, right? But
Not even that long.
yeah, no, you're like, they don't care, right?
Right.
And so I say this, man. If you're going to go out and you're just going to throw out offers for experience, throw it out into South Dakota. Well, South Dakota's not a bad market anymore. North Dakota or
Somewhere where it's not going to
California.
get accepted,
Wyoming,
basically.
right? California, right? You're going to put it, yeah, exactly. California, 100%. You're going to put it into those markets and you're never going to do business in. So you get that experience, right? And then, right, have a game plan and then go into markets that you want to go into, right? Use Bright Investor, get your market research and understand what your market can do for you, right? And that's the benefit of having software. It expedites the process, right? So kill a product what you guys are doing and putting it out there to make things easier for people, right? And so the thing is once you get established in the market, you understand the criteria, right? You understand your criteria, your sponsor criteria, a lender's criteria, then go and those start making offers. But put kind of everything together. Everyone says, I look at deals or raise money. Tyler says, I'll do both at the same time. But Lisa and Greg, you guys were phenomenal at operations, finding deals, all that, right? They brought us in to raise it originally. I didn't know shit about operation, right? I mean, you probably laugh at it. I didn't know. Here's the thing. I knew like the work I used to frame and sheetrock and do that stuff, but not Lisa and Greg just had that experience. But listen, I always ask questions to Lisa. Why this? How'd you do this? And I would pay attention. Now, I still don't know as much as Lisa, but I've caught on. Now I'm just an asshole. But I know enough to know what happens or why you should do certain things, right? But Lisa and Greg did it the right way. They partner with people that for Tyler and I, it was easier to raise money. Lisa could have went and raised money, but her focus was finding good deals and operating those deals so you get returns, right? Our focus was solely just raising money. Lisa would always say, I don't care what you guys do, just go focus on that. Go focus on, I got everything else. You just go raise the money. And so, but Lisa and I, we never submitted crazy amount of offers.
No.
Expectations with the broker, right? This is what specifically I'm looking for.
Well, yeah, but we were at a point also where our relationships were good enough, and I would tell the broker, we get this deal, it's done, it's closed. And the brokers just knew it. They knew that once they chose us, then it was done. If you can get that kind of reputation, it goes, that is success right there.
But here's the thing, people want to do business with people they like too. I know that I remember coming out to Chili's with you guys in the Carolinas and going out with Nate, right? And you guys were extremely likable, right? And people want to do business with people they like. It just makes the transactions simple, smooth. And that's, believe it or not, that's what brokers want. They don't want you to be a pain in the ass, right? They just want a simple process and know that you can close.
Yeah.
Well, and they want to know where they stand, and they want to know that you're going to be honest and have integrity. 'Cause I see a lot of buyers that are just, they feel like they're playing games, that they're playing games with everything. That they come in and they will give the best offer just to get the deal and take it off the market. And then they come in and they're retrading and they're going back on their word on certain things, or they're disappearing where the broker can't get a hold of them. Those are things that I hear brokers talk about, how frustrating it is. And it's great because that's most of our competition was doing that. And if you're not like that, you're already going to be ahead.
Yeah, for sure. For us at AMF, before I did our first deal, we looked at like 96 or 98. We probably offered on less than 10 of them. It wasn't necessarily spitting out as many pieces of paper as possible to see which noodle stood to the fridge. It was very calculated, and we talked a lot about it. But phase 2 infrastructure, like you put it, Ryan, what's your closing plan? Like, let's say the broker calls you and says your offer got accepted. Great. What's next? And if you don't have that plan built out, you're setting yourself up to fail and degrading your brand's credibility. But if you can say, hey, I did the work with the sponsor, or I'm doing a smaller deal and I've already put in the plan with the joint venture partnership to be able to take the next steps to close this thing, you start building this reputation of being able to be someone who can be taken at face value of their words because they're going to follow through the back end. And so we specifically looked at deals over and over again that didn't work out, hyper-focused on which one was offered on. So yeah, it was a lot of work that ended up not panning out until it did. And when it did, we had the systems in place to be able to take it down. And that compounded to the success that we're seeing now.
For all the ones that you didn't do, though, you learned, okay, well, that didn't work. I'm not going to do it that way. Or let's try this.
Exactly.
So you do learn from every time, and you don't realize the progress that you make until you get one. And then you look back and realize all that work that you put into it, and it was worth it.
especially the executive summary that Ryan talked about. First couple times bringing a deal to you guys, you're like, "Yo, all this information is great, but can you make it less?" Like,
Yeah. Like it's
do that.
20 pages from the
Yeah,
DOD
so
or
I
something.
mean, that's
no.
what I said. You condense that into one page, 1 or 2 pages with pictures.
Yes,
That's what I like to see.
and that's what we did. So like, all right, well, 1 or 2 page, and then eventually it was like, all right, I already know Adam and Greg and Eric and Lisa are going to ask these questions. I'm going to put those things bulleted on this list already with photos. So they can take it and they can list it in 2 seconds. And that's that kind of actually application of the lessons you learn that actually equates to improvement over time. So like when you get feedback like that to a team like ours, and hopefully any student that you're talking to, they need to be able to, I think really it's a measure of a good student or a measure of someone who's actually going to go the distance, is that they can get that feedback, apply it. And the next time you engage with them, you kind of see that like, oh, you changed how you were doing things based off the experience you had on this journey. You're adapting, you're evolving, and that's actual tangible growth.
And you're showing that you have integrity. I just realized we haven't been saying, we're supposed to throw the word in there,
Oh,
Ryan.
You've
whenever
said
we
it a
can.
few times.
A few times.
Oh, I
it's
did on
been out-
accident.
It's been out there. But yeah, if you can get a sponsor to like and commit to you, that's what happened with us. We got our offer accepted right after. Lisa was the only sponsor I talked to that was like, yeah, I'm making a commitment to work with your team and not just kind of blowing us off, which, I will always be so grateful. Ryan is the one that helped us find a sponsor that would commit to work with us. But before that, it was just like, oh yeah, come back later, come back later. And I'm kind of glad none of our offers got accepted because we would have been scrambling around so hard, especially right now with people either not buying or tightening up their criteria. I wouldn't want to be in that position right now to submit an offer without having the backing of a sponsor, and then you have to back out, and that affects your broker relationship and everything. So
Yeah.
It's interesting that it's as you both say that, right? Is you never want to have oh shit moments in business, right? It's just you just don't, right? I look and see your bright investor in the background there, and I sit here and think, how many of you guys are serious about your business? How many of you really know your market, right? Some people go, hey, do I need to spend the money or am I going to guess? Right? No, when you do have software like a bright investor, right? You're able to go out there and know when you talk to investors, you talk to brokers. Brokers want to know that you know the market, right? The investors want to know that you know the market, what's going on. So don't guess at it, right? People get into this business and it just intrigues me that like they look at you. One of your first questions was like, why 100 units over 1,000 units? And it's like, man, you want to own a business. I mean, Lisa, like we own businesses, right? Like we own businesses, right? That's a business. And so the thing is, you don't shortcut. Like I remember when we go, all right, we've got the investor relations software. It's not even all right, hey, how are we splitting it up on the other properties and they're going to pay for it? Lisa never came back to me and said, oh, what's going to happen? No, like, listen, you pay for software to get you further ahead to help you out, man.
Yeah.
And so run your business like a business.
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's very true. And having a strong foundation is very, very important. So when we were starting, I'll say this really quick, Adam. When we were starting and we did smaller properties, and we did several before we did over 100 units, we were building a strong foundation. And I would look around and I was very jealous of the people who were doing 100 units plus all the time, very jealous of them. But it got to a point where we started to grow our business. We started building our relationships, 100 units plus and getting big. And then I went back and I saw a lot of those students at the Dable and Dell. I saw a lot of those students who grew really fast, ended up not doing so well. And we ended up bypassing them. So take your time. This is not a race. And do this in your own pace. It depends on, again, do you have the sponsor set up? Do you have the group all set up? If you don't, then go a different route. Go smaller and then work your way up. And then you probably will end up with those people that you need. You'll find the people that you need. Like when we met Ryan, remember when we met you, Ryan? We had deals in the Carolinas. You were looking for deals in the Carolinas. We were looking for money and you had money. So,
Where's the city we first met?
Atlanta.
Yeah. Good old hot Atlanta, huh? It's cool.
Yes. I was not even supposed to be there.
No.
And we didn't even want to go. We were trying to just help out a friend. And that was definitely the best.
I remember sitting down,
Best meeting
we
ever.
were like, I still remember the situation because I was like, man, that's messed up, man. I remember that. I remember that. It's,
You too.
what's interesting though is one of the questions you asked is market and competition in today's market, right? I believe is what the question was. And Lisa, I think you would agree with me on this. Is it's okay to be selective in today's market. So many people want to go take down 2-3 deals. Let's say you want to take down 1,000. You're brand new, probably not the smartest idea in today's market. If you could get 2 deals, right, or even 1 deal, and get ahead. I mean, let's say you do the 1 deal and you get $100,000 in acquisition fee. Could that make you last while you get your foundation underneath you, right? So that's what's crazy, man. It's these people, like you said, by you saying that, it cracks me up, man. That it does really sad, really. These people grew too fast and now they're out of the business.
Yeah.
I've seen that. I've seen several people that grew too fast, and all it takes is one or 2 deals going south, and you're done, right? Done. I mean, look at that group that just lost their deals in Houston, right?
Yep.
Done, right? Done. They may bounce back from it, but it'll be a while. Those people lost 200 units. There's a CapEx issue, but here's the thing: you could want a deal so bad because you're looking at acquisition fees that, man, if that's what you're looking at, and you bypass. I mean, Donato, you do underwriting, man. I mean, you bypass 1 or 2 numbers, you're screwed.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to, when you're looking at your rent premiums, looks your capex, what your renovations have to be. You have a
Right.
massive portfolio of 3,200 units, and you underestimate your your renovation cost by $1,000 a door.
Oh my gosh.
All of a sudden, that compound across that's
That's a lot to take
$3.2
on.
million.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't take on that much all at one time. That's a lot. But the bigger the deal and the more risk that you're taking on, I think it's crucial. The more crucial it is for you to have experience with you. So you've got to be working with experience, working with sponsors. And again, if you don't want to do that, then do smaller deals. That's a lot. It's easier to bounce back on a 20 or 30 unit. You lose it or you lose some money or whatever. I mean, you could take over a property and have all the numbers completely wrong, but it was 30. We did this on 29 units, took it over, and none of the tenants were paying rent. I had to go in and evict every single one of the tenants, but I could do that because it's 29 units. I mean, it wasn't easy, but I could do that. I couldn't do that on 100 units. We would have
200.
lost
That
our
would be
yeah, or
crazy.
200 units. So if you keep it small, then you don't have to have the experience and you can figure it out.
Well, Ryan, you taught us about the CapEx budget. And as you were talking about how people don't put enough money in CapEx, we ended up buying a property off of a group that had only been in the business about a year. And that's why they lost or had to sell the property. They didn't have enough money to do the fixing up that they said that they were going to do. And I think that happens a lot of times. So we learned that you need more in your CapEx budget rather than less. Be
Yeah, you definitely
conservative.
don't want to be,
I don't know.
yeah, you definitely don't want to be too low in your,
The reason things will be in today's market, especially with the rates going up, are adjustable rate loans, right? Bridge debt if it's not fixed, right? So adjustable rates, CapEx, and market rent growth. Once again, understanding your market, right? And understanding how rent growths are working, forecasting out, seeing how those are changing, right? Those are the top 3 things that are going to kill you on a deal.
how about taxes and insurance and underestimating.
Insurance will kill you too, right? Yeah. Hey, did you see that? The House is passing in Texas. It's a 5% cap on valuation. So I'm hoping that they're going to backdate it in Texas. But if you haven't seen the article, I'll send you the article. But it just happened last week. I think it was like maybe 10 days ago or so, 7 days ago. But the House is meeting in Texas on creating a cap in Texas because of what happened. I mean, it's went up 40+%. So I'm hoping they'll back.
That would be amazing.
That's some useful information.
Useful.
so
Very much.
5% per reassessment period.
Yeah. So let me see this.
Wow. For those
And you just-
listening,
I'll send you right after
Yeah.
this call. I'll send
They need to
stop.
stop. They need to stop reassessing every year. In North Carolina, it's every 4, 6, 8 years, depending on the county. That was so much better.
Well, yeah. I mean, shoot, it's going to kill you. Lose a property, it's going to kill it, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plus, look, the jobs that we create, the other taxes we pay. I mean, the reality is
Yeah.
that you lose business, man. And what happens? People don't buy properties, don't take care of properties. Valuations go down, in terms of landlord. Anyway, yeah, I was super, super excited about that news. So I hope it's
Sure.
retroactive, right?
I mean, Texas economy has been amazing because all the investors are constantly wanting to buy there.
Yeah. I mean, look at this.
Doing
I mean,
incentives.
I know you
People
got
are-
a lot of people are looking outside of Texas right now, but they just
Yeah.
can't afford it. I mean, it's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good information.
I mean, the markets and the governments and localities that choose to incentivize investment are going to be the ones that benefit over the 5 to 10 year, even longer time frame. Those who want to reward people to come in and do that kind of work will reap the benefits. And those who choose to not incentivize those things will also reap the benefits or lack thereof. It's taxes. Taxes get
Like-
capped at 5%.
like California and New York.
Part of what we've seen the last couple of years when it comes to this migration of people and reshuffling, a lot of factors there. You have COVID pandemic, people are reassessing what priorities are for them. You have proliferation of working from home. People realize they may want to live somewhere else or more space. Then you also have people realizing I can earn more money by working from one place and living in another. And recognize that you don't have to be locked in geospatially or physically into where you are economically. So you have you can check the U-Haul metrics on this. You can check population growth in every other state. But people leave California because they no longer have to be tied there to earn the California dollars. They'll have to be tied there. They can take those large nest eggs that have accumulated over their careers working in Silicon Valley or what have you. And even if it's a regular job, maybe a high school teacher working in rural Minnesota, it's going to make less than a high school teacher working in California by and large, exceptions. When you have this accumulation of wealth in that state that no longer has to stay there, they go somewhere else. All of a sudden you have a state going, well, what do we do now? Well, other options are open. Other markets are open. Other states are open for business. And so what we have is this perfect storm of people reassessing their values, realizing that there's other things they can buy, and understanding what a dollar means and where it can go. And Texas for a while was very, bullish on helping people see that this is a place they can park their funds. If they choose to enact legislation that helps that, they'll continue to be a place where companies relocate, out of Austin becoming the new Silicon Valley and continuing to see more and more growth in those areas. But it'll be a competition for sure for I think another 5 to 10 years as we see people who are fully going to resettle and kind of change the demographics of the United States. We'll see which markets, and typically those are Texas, like where I was talking about, Texas, Florida, North Carolina, places that has been gobbling up new citizens because they prioritize the things that matter to the people who are moving there, which is economic stability. Word.
Word.
There you go.
I got stuck into just basically, man. That was a big one.
This come from?
I was going to write it down. I've never heard that word before.
No, I got that. That's just the name of where I work, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. So I had that words in my head all day long. Don't give me too much credit
The
for that
big
one.
secret. Nobody knew that before.
Big secret, yeah.
Okay.
I'd hate to black bag you. You guys seem like great people. No, I don't want to call the FBI on it.
I'm going to move on to the trivia questions.
Oh boy.
You're going to ask if we have any final thoughts?
Do you have any final thoughts?
I like red shirt.
Thank you.
That's my
Nice
thought.
shirt. Like the background too.
I did too. Very
Yes.
regal.
Is it an MFCP or an MFM? Or CDM?
MF, yeah. MFCP, yeah.
MFCP. Okay, I see.
Are you ready for the commercial multifamily Lion's Den trivia talk?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, Ryan, you have a cigar?
I was going to say something inappropriate, so I'll, no, I
No.
Hard top my guy. Yes.
There we go. All right.
trivia, huh? Let's go. Let's get it. I suck at trivia, but hey,
So we all suck.
We all do.
Yeah.
Trust me, this is not.
He
going
gets
from
it. He
wedding.
gets it
I-
every time.
And okay, sometimes that's a clue.
We'll keep score.
Question number 1. According to FloridaRealtors.org, what was the median sales price for a home in Florida reported in Q1 2023?
260.
Oh, Ryan lives there. Unfair.
I'm sure he did that on purpose. 265. So he said
I like biased questions.
9.
269.
You said median, not average.
Median, yeah.
Oh, you got a lot in North Florida.
Average is
It's
definitely
gonna be
different.
That seems low.
no, I think
573.
I'm
Okay.
gonna say a solid 315. Solid 315.
400,000.
I'll say 450.
316,500.
It's not stupid. Curriculum made.
Oh, so Ryan, you actually were closer your first guess.
Damn it.
Ooh.
I think
This happens.
your answer
This
was closer to
happens.
the average. The average was like
But you-
100,000 more.
All right. We got close.
I'll
Please
take
take
that.
the answer, right?
So 450.
Yeah. I'll take that.
All right, so
right on the
Donato
dot.
gets one. Donato
Question
one.
number 2. According to moneycrashers.com, as of 2021, which state has the most banks?
New York.
They're the biggest banks. Some of the biggest. Maybe not the
Oh, space, huh?
Yeah, most.
Florida.
I want to say it's population tie, but I'm not sure how strong to walk over that. I'll stick with California.
I was gonna say that before New York. It's probably one of those.
I'll stick with Cali. I'm not so sure.
California is so big. I'm going to say Texas because of how big it is.
Okay, that's a good one.
The answer is Texas.
That
Oh.
right
Oh,
answer.
Oh, Ryan, you didn't answer?
Oh, you didn't?
Florida.
Okay.
From Florida.
You
Okay.
said Florida?
No.
Okay.
And then, so that it's Texas with 375.
Oh wow.
And the next
would've
4
known?
down, and this is in 2021, the next 4 down were Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, and Missouri.
Wow.
I never would have guessed
That's
any of those.
interesting. Yeah, who
I had no
would've known?
idea. All Midwest. Interesting.
Hmm.
Okay. Maybe like in places where people are less concentrated in one area and more spread out. You need more banks, locations just to service all those smaller towns. I can see that.
Yeah, maybe just a lot more local banks instead of the big ones.
Mm.
According to moneycrashers.com, ever since the savings and loan crisis of the late 1980s, the number of banks in the U.S. has been diminishing. In 1986, there were 17,754 banks. And by 1995, that number had declined to 11,926. As of 2021, how many insured commercial banks are there?
This like brands, like Wells Fargo, Citi, JP Morgan, those would all be different ones.
Yeah, just brands. And not just FDIC, like I think like 95% of them or more are FDIC, but there's a some that are
Credit
insured a
unions.
different way.
And,
I'll say-
and
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good number. I'm gonna go down to 3,500.
what'd you say, Ryan?
7,200.
Okay.
That's
Oh, right.
I'm going to say
It's a good guess
6,000.
too.
The answer is 4,844.
Hey, Donato?
Cool.
Hold on.
Wait, who
I
got
said
the
five.
answer?
5,000.
45?
4,800.
Okay. Okay, yeah, you got that one. Only so they went from 17,000 to 4,800 in about 40 years. Or 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It
We gotta
started
get our money out of the
declining.
banks.
It started declining in 1980. I think there's some sort of
Invest in
crisis the
multifamily.
1980s.
Get your money out of the
There you
banks.
go.
Our pitch. I know.
Wow. That's insane. Where those banks going? You almost want to look at the banks that are left and see what are they doing differently, or what is that they did the other ones didn't.
That's
Crazy
it.
stuff.
You didn't let our guest win?
He won the first one, didn't he? Oh wait, no, he didn't. He didn't get a state right.
We always stack in favor of the guest. Always.
Oh, there we go.
When you tried, he started with the Florida.
It's because I don't have fire.
Yeah, it's because
Yeah. We can
Yeah.
fix that. We can send
the
some to
problem?
you. Happy to do so. Good to do
Right.
that.
right.
Ryan, thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It was fun. It's going to be very informative for the student.
I hope so, man. I hope so. I think that's the thing about you and I used to always talk about this. Is, dude, I don't think there's nothing that gives us more joy to see new people get into the industry, man. Right, or change their lives.
Sure.
So it's blessed my life, and years ago I never thought that would happen, man.
Thank you for listening to the Commercial Multifamily Lion's Den podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, make sure to leave us a like, subscribe, and share it with anyone you think can gain value from today's episode. What conundrums are you facing? Let us know in the comment section below, and we'll get to it in a future episode. If you're interested in passively investing with us, you can go to am-multifamily.com, or you can email fee at am-multifamily.com. Those links will be in the show description, along with the Lion's Den Facebook page and website. Thank you, and have a roaring day.
God, that is awesome.
Love it.